Good evening. It's Saturday night and it's time for Race Talk Saturday on Hamden Action Now. I'm Rhonda Caldwell and we are here for our Saturday night 8 o'clock special with Rodney Williams. He's an entrepreneur and a philanthropist in the city of New Haven. So we're so excited to talk with him tonight and hear what he has to say, what his definition of equity in the Black and Brown community looks like. So thank you. Stay tuned. We'll be back in a few. And this will be a very interesting and enlightening discussion tonight. Good evening, Rodney Williams. How are you?
Pretty good. Doing good.
Awesome. I'm so happy to talk with you tonight. This is our premier programming on Saturday night where we talk about, the issues in the community with regard to race. So I am so looking forward to talking with you tonight about what your definition of equity is. And let me just start by saying, you're an entrepreneur and you're also a philanthropist because you give a lot back to your community. So I'm really interested in hearing what you think.
Well, let me just say this. Who I am, I'm somebody that grew up in Newhallville, that I would hope that over the next couple of years, what I'm capable of doing in the community, I could help others do the same thing. And I think this conversation is about creating other people like myself.
So, absolutely.
So,
because you have so many people. Yes. You have so many people in the community that need role models like you to get them, like you said, right on the right path.
Well, when you look at what my definition is, I just want to say this. When you define it, what equity is, it's the quality of being fair or impartial, or it's the value of shares given by a company. That's the dictionary definition. When you look at the definition of inequities, lack of fairness or justice, when I look at equity and I look at the definition of that, and I look at what's going on in our community, it means different things to different people. Depends on what's going on in your life, what you went through in your life. Your definition of it will be different than mine. I just feel like what I want to talk about is what I see from where I'm at on the mountain where I'm at. Although this city of New Haven, I just say is one mountain. Everybody on different levels. Your truth is your truth, but my truth is my truth. I just like to give my perspective from the valley because I feel like although my business is doing well, I'm able to do a lot more things than I used to be able to do before. But I still feel like I'm in the valley with a lot of people, and my definition is based on where I'm at. And somebody else's definition might be different based on where they're at. I just want to be clear about that. I can't hear you.
I think equity is based on everybody's perspective. I think that what happens is that, as we go through life, I think that what we see as equitable is different. And I think even like if somebody would ask you what equity was 20 years ago or 30 years ago, might have had a different answer than you would have today. I think we evolve in equity and what we need to, like you said, to basically level the playing field and make, things equitable.
I think that what the conversation that I really want to talk about, I would say would probably be about the inequities, because if you're looking at equity, A lot of people can't really define it because it's not, they don't have it. Like different definitions mean different things, but the lack of equity is because of the inequities that's being done in our community, at least on the level that I'm on. And what I like to do is identify them things, talk about them things. Feel free for people to comment. And I think if we could change some of these things, I think that it would be better for everybody. And when you're talking about stocks in a company, you can only have stocks in a company if you have some money. So people who aren't capable of looking at that definition because they're trying to get to another level, it's because of the inequities got them not able to buy stock in companies or have stock or feel like
the inequities that you can't even buy stock, which means you can't even be at the table. You know, if you don't have the proper funds, you can't even be there.
So there's people that they look at that definition and they can relate to it. But there's people who look at the definition and feel like they ain't got no voice, but they got to vote. And I just feel like in this city, the stock, the shares, to me, is your vote. And I think that people need to realize that they need to use that vote. And they don't.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that, but the reason why I wanted to ask you about equity is because everywhere you go now, this equity council, this equity group, and I'm like, do you guys even have a definition of what that looks like? I mean, it just, to me, it seems like another one of those buzzwords, that everybody was using, like diversity. Oh Lord, we wore the word out.
I think that what I think, like, anybody that is using that as a platform need to identify their definition of it, because we all on the same mountain, but we on different levels of it, and based on where you at, your definition of it is different. I just feel like if you're running and your platform is that, explain to us what your definition is, because what we don't want is this. We don't want people on the ground feeling like it's one thing, and the people on top of the mountain or the middle of the mountain definition something different. Tell us what it is, so that way we know up front what we're dealing with. Because a lot of times people say things, and then when they get to where they get, their definition, it wasn't they was lying. They just never defined to us what their definition was. And I just think that right now, it's the time to talk about the conversation and be honest and tell me what it is. So I could say, based on what your definition is, I'm with you. I'm with you for that reason.
And I agree. I think that we have to, like, the voting holds people accountable. I mean, if you want somebody to, if we want what we need in our community, which, like you always say, is jobs. If that's what we want, and that will bring equity to the community, because now everybody has an income, and so now the playing field is now becoming more level, then they just need to say that. Meaning, the elected officials, the town council here in Hampden, the mayor, the board of ed, don't just kind of have this little coin phrase. But we need you to we need some definitions. We need some specifics.
Well, speaking of jobs, if you're talking about equity to jobs and the definition of it, the quality of being fair and impartial, there's nothing fair about what's going on in the city of New Haven when it comes down to jobs for minority contractors, when it comes down to jobs for residents. Because what a lot of people need to realize is, although we're getting jobs, and if you look at New Haven as a fruit tree, okay, let's just use that. New Haven is a fruit tree, and the jobs is all the fruit. Seem like the only fruit we get is the fruit that's on the floor or the low-hanging fruit, okay? And New Haven is a fruit tree. So there's nothing fair about that, and there's nothing impartial about that. So there's no equity there. We could go line by line, one after another, and you show me where it is, and I'll show you where it ain't, where it isn't. So I just feel like all that need to change it, and I think that it need to be put out there. People need to know that we know, and those that and the sad thing is that when you're talking about being fair and being impartial, or you talk about the inequities, the lack of fairness or justice, we have people that we elect. They know it's not fair. They know it's not right, and they're not doing nothing to change it. So that's why when we talk about the value of shares to a company, what the residents of New Haven need to understand is that they got to share to this company because they're resident, and their share is their vote.
That's right.
If you don't value it, then it ain't worth nothing. And you need to start cashing it in so you can cash people out. You know, and
That's right.
That's really
It's
that's
pretty
really what it's
simple.
about. That's really what it's about. We all, you know, a lot of people don't got money, but the truth is this: it does not matter how much money you got when you go in a booth. Your dollar don't matter. You got one vote. And I just feel like
That's it.
People in our community going through what they're going through. A lot of them are they're so frustrated with politics. They're so frustrated with blacks getting elected into positions and not doing what they're supposed to be doing for the people in the community, that they don't come out. But 2021, I want to say this: we just now went through a virus. A lot of people lost a lot of people. We passed through here one time, and one time only, and we should be able to touch as many as people as we can, and that's what my goal is to do what I can do. Hopefully people appreciate what I do, but I'm gonna be honest with you, those that don't appreciate what I do, I really don't even care about that, because most of the time the people who don't appreciate what I'm doing is because what they're doing, and what they're doing is not
Right.
giving a damn about the people in the community. So I care. You said what you want to say about me. I know what I try to do, and I know that a lot of them aren't trying to do. And
Yeah.
they're not trying to grow black businesses. They're not really worrying about us getting jobs. They're not really fighting for us. They have their own agenda, and I just think that when you talk equity, maybe you need to bring them on the show and ask them what their definition is.
Right.
Because
Well, you know, it's a lot of politicians won't come. I wonder why they won't come and talk to me, because all I'm asking is, when you use this language, you should be prepared to describe what you mean, and that includes that's no respecter of person. That's white, black, man, or woman. It doesn't matter. If you are sitting in a seat and you are representing a people, and you say that I want my people to have more equity, and you're the representative, then you should be ready. You should be able to easily explain what equity, what we need. But you know what else? Let me ask you another question. Do you think that these politicians, I'm not going to call them politicians, I'll call them elected officials. Do you think these elected officials, do they come and ask you in the community? Because in our community, I know you asked me, do they contact me and say, oh, Rhonda, we're working on this? I said, no, the elected officials in Hampton don't speak to me other than Justin Farmer and Brad McDowell. No one else they won't take my calls. They don't respond, my emails. So how do you know what my community needs if you refuse to come out and talk with me?
Well, I think that everybody got to be accountable. I think, first of all, the community got to be accountable, because we continue to let this happen.
Yes.
People sit where they sit because they're elected to sit there. They don't just walk in the room and say, I'm such and such, I'm taking this position. It's election, based on the election, who win, they win. That's how we got Trump, and that's how we got Biden now. That's how we got the mayors of New Haven. That's how we got the alders of New Haven. The residents of the city vote for them. After they vote for them, and they don't do what the community want them to do, most people in the black community, they complain. Majority of the people that complain, most of the time, it's people that don't vote. They're not voting. No, but I'm gonna tell you what it is.
That's the truth.
They're not voting because when they were voting, they voted people in, and the people they voted in ran for office and didn't do what they're supposed to do. I honestly feel like people right now don't really want people to come to vote, because if people really showed up to vote, I don't think the people who are being elected right now would actually have the seat. So
Yeah.
You watch people say that people trying to stop people from voting, and they make it seem like it's a Republican thing. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think it's just a Republican thing. I think it's
Mm-hmm.
depends on who's running for office. They both do it. It's a
Yeah.
power.
I mean,
It's
they
a
do
power
it.
thing. It's a power thing. I
It's a
think that
power grab.
I think that the
Yes.
community need to just one time. You know what I mean? And if I'm wrong, I'll admit I'm wrong, because I'm gonna tell you right now, when the virus came, I was talking about it wasn't killing black people. But I'm gonna tell you one thing that made me feel that way. It was the lack of information that was being given out through the news about how it was impacting blacks. And
Mm-hmm.
to me, that was wrong. That was not unjust, because about time we found out it was impacting us, it was like a California fire coming down a hill. It burnt our asses up. And I lost my father, and a whole bunch of people lost people. It's wrong, you know.
And that, again, that's another part of the problem, is that, we were just saying that earlier today, that we were saying that, a lot of the vaccine hesitancy, I believe, is because of the lack of education of, in our community. They're just saying, just roll up and just take it. I mean, they're saying it's good, but you have to be on TV. You have to watch TV at 11 o'clock in the middle of the day on a weekday to hear Dr. Fauci and the CDC and the COVID relief team talk. Other than that, where are our local officials educating our community on this vaccine, what we can expect, what we can expect, and how important is it for us to get it? There's been no education about it. Like you said, this has just been a disaster, especially in our community, which has been the hardest hit.
Well, I think right now, I noticed that they're starting to reach out to the black churches and trying to get the black churches to take a lead in setting up vaccine places for the minorities to come. I just think that with them passing all this money, because it's always a money thing. If you look at where they're setting up the vaccines in the beginning, most of the people making the money, they don't look like us, but they saying,
No.
oh, we need to come and we need to get shots. Why is it that everybody always benefiting from people that look like us, other than people that look like us? Because I just feel like they come to the black churches for the vote, because they feel like the black churches bring out the vote, that they got the ties to the black community. I just feel like, honestly, they should have did the same thing with the vaccine awareness, the vaccine shots. Everything should have ran. If they were to go to people for the vote, they should have been that for the vaccine too. It should not be that right now is like where they looking to get black people vaccinated through the clergy. They should have did that from Jump Street, because they do
Yeah.
it with the voting. They should have did it with the vaccine too. And honestly, just like everybody else is, they should have gave resources to the clergy and put it right back in our community, because there's dollars available that's floating around for that. And it seemed like we the last one for the dollars to start floating around in our community, and that's not right.
Yeah. Why? Okay. So why do you think it's so hard for, the community to get information? I mean, I think that if you want to talk about inequities, I think the flow of information is always seems to be so difficult when it's trying to get through to our community. Like you said, I saw you come out front way last year and start buying masks in bulk for the community, and other items for the community to be safe. Again, why is it so hard?
I can't say why it's so hard, but I will tell you this. One of the reasons why I got involved with the mass, it's relationships. You know, it's like when you build relationships with people. I just lucked up and had a good relationship with somebody who had access, a direct access. So that means I was able to get it at a cost that, you know, a lot of people wasn't getting it for. And I decided to invest some of the money that I had into that. And especially after what happened to my father and me looking around and realizing that what we need, it was so difficult to get access to it. And so whenever everybody talking about what's your definition of equity, you know what I mean? Inequity is like, no matter what we talk about, that definition is like, it is right there. Like we as Black people, um, you know, we've been treated like this no matter what sector or no matter what job, school, police, whatever. You could show where it's at, what they doing. It's just wrong, you know. It has to stop. And um, I just feel like some people that look like us, um, they're part of the problem. So
Yeah.
I think that
Yeah.
the community need to acknowledge that. We need to put people in office that going to take care of those on the ground, because it seemed like the people on the ground usually be the last one to get something to drink. Although you see the water flowing from the mountain, um, for some, I don't know how they do it, but they make a dam halfway up and then the water start flowing down in the valley. We got to figure out how to get up
Yeah.
on that mountain and bust that dam and you know, bring that water down. And to me, the only way to do that is people got to come out and vote. You know what I mean? You got to identify somebody in the community um, that you can trust, that you care about. Because the truth is
Mhm.
this: every election, we have people knocking on our doors in our community, telling us
Mm.
who we should go vote for. Now, after you elect them, after that person told you this is the person, and then you have concerns that, you know, well, what about this? What about that? That person who you talk to, you can't even reach back to them because majority of the time they're not even from your community. So I just feel like this: there's 30 wards in New Haven. I live in Ward 21. I feel like um, if somebody want me to support somebody um, in my ward, I think they should live there. They should be from my community. So I could call you up and be like, hey, Ronnie, you remember you told me to vote for such and such? Well, they ain't doing what you said they was going to do. There's a level of accountability. And
Yeah.
it's not that, and it has not been that. It's like everybody crisscross all over the place. I just feel like, you know, let's try one time, maybe. Just stay in your lane. You know what I mean? Stay in your lane, stay in
Yeah.
your ward. You know, because what my ward need, another ward might need that, but it might not.
Right.
But you, the people in your community, you know what you need.
This
And
is
I just,
exactly. That's exactly what I say. I mean, just go to the community and ask them what you need. I mean, you can ride through. I mean, the Newhallville section of Hamden, it's pretty obvious. When you roll through there, you'll see what the community needs. You know, it is a food desert. Let's just start there. You know, it is, the community is kind of blocked off from the rest of the town of Hamden. You know, it's fairly obvious. But what are you going to do to resolve it? And we can't just I just think that throwing a word around like, oh, we're gonna just make our communities more equity in the community. I'm like, okay, that's enough. You're insulting our intelligence by using this language and continuing to use it, and we don't see anything different.
well, I think that if if somebody define what their definition is of it, and we could understand it, um, it wouldn't be insulting. Um, it would be understanding. Um,
Hmm.
I think I grew up in Newhallville. I tell you, since I was younger, I was there since 1978. I think what we need now, We need it for years. So I would
Hmm.
say that for years, what we needed, we never got. Um,
Still
we need
to
we
this
need
day.
we need we need a better education. We need training for the jobs that are in the queue that we know come into the city. We're not talking about the low hanging fruit, not the
Hmm.
fruit on the floor, the fruit that we could climb up the tree and get this a little more juicier, that pays a little better. Because everybody talk about affordable housing, I want people to understand one thing: that if you had a good job making good money, you could afford to live wherever you want to live. We should
That's right.
not get stuck on the affordable housing thing. And I'm not saying we don't need that. That's not what I'm saying. What we need is jobs.
Hmm.
Let somebody choose that they would like to live in affordable housing to save some money, rather than that's where they got to live because they ain't making no money. It's a
Hmm.
big difference. And
It
you
is.
saying I'm okay with staying here, and you saying this is where I have to stay. This is the only place I could look for some place to stay that's affordable for me. Um, Look at the Q Bridge. They designed the Q Bridge for one reason: for everybody in the suburbs to come into New Haven and make this money. And that's a fact.
Mm.
If you look at the traffic that come off the highway, they migrate in, they migrate out. What do? They come here and get this money and they leave. New Haven is a gold mine for the county, and a damn shame for the people in the city.
No. And I just think I agree with you with, you cannot, it's 2021. You cannot
Yeah.
continue to roll through the community with this flashy, glossy language and just roll back out to your suburb. We're not doing that anymore. You
Well,
must
listen,
come with
I don't
specifics.
listen. You could. I ain't got no problem with the people rolling out to the suburbs. I'm just, everybody say equity and inequity, lack of fairness or justice. Is it fair
Hmm.
that we live in New Haven and we can't get no work here? Is it fair that
No.
we gotta hope that they build affordable housing, because we can't afford, to live someplace nice? Is it fair that everybody who got the nice houses in the suburbs work in New Haven and go back and make all this money? And like right now, our taxes is going up and we can't
Hmm.
even get nowhere. Is that fair?
Is that
So
equitable?
so when everybody say, is
No.
that equitable? So tell me how it just, and like I said, but based on where you at on the mountain, it might be fair to some people that's making money. But I just feel
Well,
like,
and then you see a community, and it, like you said, every cycle, every election cycle, you get your visit from the candidate, whoever, or their people who are knocking doors for them, and they say, "Oh, you have to vote for my candidate. My candidate's the best. They're going to bring equity to your community, listening to Black and brown people." And then that's all the time you see them. You don't see them again
no.
until that next
and and
cycle happens
and
again.
and, and I don't I'm just gonna be honest with you. Like I said, some people know me. I'm gonna speak. But let's say this: I might not be speaking everybody's truth. I'm speaking my truth. But my truth in my community be a lot of other people's truth too. So
Hmm.
where I'm at now, it might not be somebody else's truth, but I feel like this election is coming up. The residents in this city, um, we should elect who we should be electing. We should not have people that don't live in our city telling us who we
Hmm.
need to elect, because the truth is, at the end of the day, we stuck paying the damn taxes. They're not.
Right.
So
That's right.
I just think that
And
I
it,
can't go. I can't go on nobody else. I can't go knock on nobody in the suburbs door, talk about, hey, you need to vote for Susan or vote for Billy. You know what I mean? Because they'd be looking at me like, where the hell you from? And I'm from New Haven. Well, you need to, get back New Haven. I just feel like right now where we at as a Black community, um, just now going through a virus that killed a lot of people. Um, People lost a lot of jobs. The lack of accountability. I think that how do we bring accountability back? First of all, we bring it back by our neighborhoods should be the one talking about what's best for our neighborhoods. Our residents in our city should
Thank
be
you.
the ones talking about what's best for our city. Everybody else, listen, don't get me wrong. The donations is nice, appreciated. Everybody needs it for a campaign. But as far as the knocking on the door, like, yeah, you need to vote for such and such. You don't live here. Right now, what we going through, like this election right now, to me, this one right now, I don't think that needed. I think that residents need to talk to residents, and wards need to decide what's best in their ward, and they need to make that decision, and that with some accountability, because
Yeah,
right now
I
there's no
think the
accountability.
conversation.
Yeah, there's no
Yeah,
accountability. Everybody talking about equity, inequity. You know what I mean? But if I can't hold you accountable, all the rest of that don't mean nothing. The person
that's
that
right.
telling me that I need to vote for you, I need to be able to call you when you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, and I should be able to talk to you. So all these people
Yeah,
that like migrating to New Haven to help people to get elected, I just feel like, you know what, just stay in the suburbs, and let us do what we need to do, and let us hold our own people accountable. That's what I feel.
right.
Donate. We appreciate it, because I feel like this election right here, um, it's a game changer. I know it's a game changer for me at 55 years old. Um, it's a game changer because if we do not change some of the things that we feel are unjust, it's going to impact our kids, and it's going to impact our grandkids. And when you look at this year just passed, and a lot of us lost a lot of good people, I think that
Yeah,
have a conscience. Um, think about the people that we lost. Think about the people who need help, who need change, and I just
right.
feel like let's be the change. Let's be the change. And
Yeah, you cannot be on the same path because we're doing the same thing again. And so I think that, I mean, my argument is my whole goal of all of this whole platform is to build community. Because again, I know we don't have a sense of community in our neighborhoods. When we have neighborhoods like, no community. So hopefully we can build community. And when we need to go to elected officials and say, we want this. We're not asking for it. It's not an ask. It's a demand because we're already paying for it. So we're paying these monies. We paid in taxes. We elected you. You're now our leadership. These are the things, and just break it down, and that's it. And if they don't do it, we'll see you back at the polls on the next go around.
well, that's what I feel like right now is that's where we at right now. That
That's it.
we need to see you at the polls, because based on what's going on in this city, um, based on the promises, we don't have this, we don't have that, we're gonna work on this, we're gonna work on that, and we are where
Yep.
we are. I feel like it's time to go to the polls. It's time to go to
It's
the
time.
polls on all levels, not just one level. It's on multiple levels, because it's not just one elected official saying he gonna do this and he don't do it. It's a whole bunch of them.
Hmm.
I mean, I just think that um, that and let me just say this: um, a lot of people lost a lot of people, um,
Yeah.
and let me just say this. First of all, we should have did this first, but I'm gonna say it now. My prayers go out to everybody who lost somebody.
Yeah.
But my focus right now is this community, and I just feel like those elected officials, um, if you feel like you're not capable of doing what this community really need, because I want to say this. You're not doing it. All right.
Nope.
You're not doing it. But when I'm asking you, if you feel like you're not capable of doing what this community needs you to do, especially we just now went through something where we lost a lot of people.
Yeah.
Why don't you just do what's right? And you need to sit down. And I'm telling you that, and God know that's what you need to do. I'm a very spiritual person. I believe God opened up the doors that need to be opened up, and God will move what He need to move out your way. I just feel like there are people holding positions just to hold positions, and they're holding the community back, and it's not right. It's nothing to debate about. It's just not right, and I just think that they need to sit down. And a lot of Black people believe in God, and I'm just gonna say that God got a way to deal with people, and if you don't want to sit down because it's the right thing to sit down, sometimes God find a way to sit you down, and I'm gonna tell you that because I honestly feel like right now is the time that God ain't gonna play with people. He ain't gonna play with me. He ain't gonna play with you neither. I'm gonna do what I need to do. Hopefully you do what you need to do, and I'm hoping if you don't do what you need to do, that He do what He need to do to give you a butt, get you out of our way. Because the truth is this: where our community is right now, we need all hands on deck, and that's that. And another thing is like the people who came from this community that's on the other side of the fence, that people help push over the fence, that didn't throw the rope back. Damn it, you still got the rope. You know what I mean? Throw it back. I'm not saying you got to pull nobody over, but at least throw the rope back and give somebody opportunity to climb over.
Yeah. I mean, okay, so the jobs piece is really, and I want to just also say, I'm sorry for the loss of your father. I know that had to be really horrible in the midst of all of this pandemic, and so we're very sorry for your loss, and all the loss that people, the grief that our community is suffering from, of all this sudden loss, and not even being able to be with your loved one when they were transitioning and passing. Because of the COVID crisis, people had to pass alone without family with them, which is, unheard of for me, because I lost both my parents and I was there with them, both times. So you got the grief. And then on top of that, now we got to face the economic, because listen, a lot of whatever work that people did have before the pandemic, I would say 50% of that work's not even coming back. So
Except
now
for,
more than ever, you're going to need the public officials to find ways to create opportunities for employment for our community. We were the ones that were most hard hit. You know what I mean? Because we were frontline workers. We were the essential workers. But there's so many layers to this thing,
when you look at we were hit, construction wasn't hit. If you notice, construction was essential. Construction workers worked all through the pandemic, and a lot of them jobs, people didn't look like us. When you look it up toward electric boat, they got training in the school and got funds, that they got classes up there where they teach people, so they come out of them classes and they work at electric boat. So when you're talking about the inequities, how is it that we live in the state of Connecticut, that certain sectors of this state have certain things that we build, and we build very well, that they take resources to make sure that the workforce is there for certain things that we do. But meanwhile, when you look at New Haven, we got a booming construction business going on here, industry going on here. In our schools, we have very little trade. Is that because when you look toward electric boat, they white, and you look down here, it's black? So when you're saying justice, like this, you could go from the bottom to the top. It's like it's not right. And people that we elect, they know that.
Yep.
And they're not doing nothing about it. It starts with the schools. Like I always said, go to Board of Ed meetings. Everybody ain't going to college. Everybody ain't going to the Army. Teach people, give them a degree, give them their diploma, but give them, the ones that's not going to college, give them an opportunity to what's in the pipeline right here in our community. They know for years this construction was going on. So what's going on? The people from the suburbs, they come here, their kids, the fathers, the sons, the white women, and they're killing it. And what we doing?
Right.
We stuck.
All right.
Can't get no jobs. People out here selling drugs, going to jail, and get caught up in the pipeline from school to prison.
Yep. And nobody, and there's, you know, and then they kind of show up every election cycle with the same little talk. Like it's not working in 2021. You cannot roll to these communities anymore with the same little talk. You know, I mean, you're going to have to put some specifics into it, and we will see you after the election. I think the thing that frustrates me the most about elected officials is after they're elected, they are so insulated. You can't get a phone call, you can't call, you can't email, like you can't do anything. They don't respond. They completely ignore you. I mean, it's like, are you kidding me? You know, your people were here knocking on our doors, like jingling our doors, leaving all your paperwork and whatnot. And I can't even get you to return an email. I mean, it's just really completely disingenuous. I mean, I don't, you know, and then, you know, we're telling you what our community needs and you can't even return a phone call. The whole system is terrible.
2021, I just feel like the community needed to decide what's best for the community and have that conversation, what their needs are. And we hold the communities accountable.
Yeah.
Because if we decide that we're going to vote for a certain person and that person isn't doing what they need to be doing, the same way we decided to elect you, we need to decide to check you too. And we don't do that. And I think that
we don't.
I think that we need to do that. You know, like I said, I just turned 55. To me, I don't know how long I'm gonna be here, but as long as I'm here, I'm gonna continue to do what I'm doing, and that's trying to make change. A lot of people have not lived to be this age. I know a lot of my friends, relatives, family members. I just feel like when you get to a certain age, you need to, regardless what you're doing before, I'm telling you what you need to do now. You need to try to make change. You know what I mean? Because
yeah,
try to make change for those that in the back of you. Because
yeah, and you know, it's so funny, like you said, when you get to these numbers start to creep up. It like, okay, things change. You know, the game starts to change. It's not, you know, it's time to start paying attention. I'm hoping that, you know, our, you know, activism and our work in the community will engage younger people sooner. Like I didn't become engaged in community activism until my 40s. I'm hoping that people, you know, I'm trying to, you know, inspire young people to really not only, you know, in addition to going out and voting, but really finding out what these folks stand for. I mean, we talk about the Democratic town committees. If we could talk about that for a minute, you know, I mean, forever, I didn't know how people got on the ballot. I just was so proud, have a little sticker. I voted today, you know, and I was so proud I voted. It wasn't until I tried to get on the ballot. Let's talk about that for a minute. When I tried to put my little face and my little name on a ballot, and I went to the town committee and they said, I was like, okay, so what's the process? We don't have one, and you're not on it. So bye. So
So
again, then you have to ask the question, who in the hell are these people on these ballots? And how did they get there?
I would tell you that I was up there. I was I was a co-chair in Ward 21 for a while. What happened to me, what made me stop, I haven't told too many people this story, but I will tell you the story. I was actually collecting signatures in East Rock with Jan Underwood.
Okay.
And she's white from, I think, if I'm not mistaken, she's from like Raheem Ward. And I appreciate the fact that I had a good relationship with her. I didn't want to run. She said, Rodney, I'm going to come with you to help you get your signatures. The crazy thing was that she wasn't even from my ward, and she didn't look like me. But she appreciated who I was when I was a co-chair. But sometimes your community don't appreciate you.
Mm-hmm.
I went in this lady house, and in her foyer, she had an old painting. You could tell it was a family piece that must have been passed down for years. It was a picture of a black kid shining some shoes. I went home that night, and I think the next day I needed like maybe 15 or 20 signatures to hand in. And I called Jan up and I said, Jan, I said, first of all, I want to thank you for coming out. And I appreciate it. Anytime you ever need me, I'm definitely there for you. But what I said to myself was, I'm not going to be nobody shoe shiner, especially in the black community. I'm who I am. I'm not going to sugarcoat nothing. I just felt like here it is, fighting for community. Got to go into East Rock to get signatures to continue to fight for community. And when I saw that shoe shine thing, I realized that, Rock, you don't need to be doing this, because the truth is this: if your community don't care enough to get you up there, you don't need to be up there. You ain't shining nobody's shoes. And I didn't run for co-chair, and a lot of people told me I should have, but I didn't.
Right.
But I'm gonna say this: afterwards, I realized I should have stayed a co-chair. The community didn't let me down. The community was let down.
Yeah.
Before I got into politics, I didn't understand that until after I didn't run. So that's why I fought harder, because I owed them. I should have never stopped. But I realized why the community feel the way they feel, and it's because of people that look like me, that they elected to do a job, and they didn't.
That's right.
Okay. And that's been happening for a long time in our community, and it's still happening right now. So
I want to ask you a question about that. So is it more devastating? I think I'm more devastated when, you have a black or brown leader, like a mayor or town council folk, or even members of the Board of Ed. And I just think it's more hurtful when they when they let their community down. Then, I kind of okay with it when white folks, I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'm over it. But when they do it, it seems the most disingenuous, because, you got in this position and we trusted you and we gave you this opportunity in our vote. And again, you did the same thing. We couldn't get a phone call. Our community still looks the same. We're still unemployed, and then you go and say, but I'm black, I'm here. You got black representation. Yes, in sight only. So how does that make you feel?
You know, I'm gonna tell you again. I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna keep it real. To me, when everybody get behind somebody black and somebody black lets down the black community, um, to me, it's worse than somebody white let down the black community. I remember one time I was in a conversation. Um, I was at a forum with the chief of New Haven, the assistant chief, and the Yale chief. And I asked him, how could you watch when you was younger white cops beat on black people? I told him, beat our ass, to be honest with you. Then you become a cop, you black, you Hispanic, and you beating our ass too. It's worse. You know what I mean?
It's way worse.
But here's what I'm gonna tell you. That's what happens.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we got to do.
I think accountability is accountability. I don't care who you are, what color you are. If you don't follow the agenda.
When black officers do something in our community, and when Hispanic officers do something to the Hispanics in our community, the first thing I'll be talking about is fire their ass.
Bye.
Because not trying to be funny. For years we watched white people beat our ass, attack us with dogs, and now black people doing that to black people and Hispanics doing it to Hispanics. I feel like, hey, you know what I mean? I'm sorry.
I agree.
You need to get rid of them. And it's the same thing with the black politicians. You know what I mean? It's like, I just feel like, to me, I think that when you talk about black teachers, I think that you need teachers that you care and able to teach. Politicians, I would tell you that sometime you can't just care. Like different jobs, I would tell you is different. I would tell you in the black community, it's hard for somebody white that has not been through what we've been through. You could read it, but living it is two different things. If you have not lived how we lived, and you read it or you saw it on TV, you know what I mean? You might watch it. Wow, I can't believe it. It's a difference in you living it. And I just think some communities, they need strong black leadership. That and a black leader that been through what the community been through in order to help. Because sometimes help ain't help.
No.
Sometimes you could care, but you don't know how to help. So I just think right now, we at that point with our mayorship right now. You know what I mean? Caring and being to help us is two different things. If you look at what's been going on over the last 2 years, where's the help? Crime's up, jobs are down. You know what I mean? We had the pandemic. Look what's going on with the education. So it's like, where do you see anything that's gauging in a positive where and we can't just say, hey, well, maybe next time,
Right.
When you go to the hospital and you need emergency surgery, honestly, I would want the best person operating on me, not somebody trying to figure out, well, what is this? What is that? You know what I mean? I think right now, our community need to come out and regardless of how people feel about people, we need to have real conversation about equity, define it,
Right.
and if that definition is the definition that best fits you and your community moving forward, I think we need to do that, because the truth is this: if you look at the definition of what it is and what we've been dealing with in New Haven over the last couple of years, that's a no-brainer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
ain't
I
get
mean, we continue to hear on our side on the Hamden side of the Newhallville community that, I mean, we constantly hear about, crime and shootings and whatnot, but we don't hear
yeah.
about the people. People are not talking on Facebook about how folks have lost their jobs. They're gone for good, and they're on the brink of being evicted. Their power and the utilities are getting ready to get cut off if they're not already off.
Listen,
Nobody's talking about the fact that they like you said, the education is such a key part, because you're not even trained to have a trade. So, there's nothing to fall back on. We don't have bank accounts. We didn't inherit wealth, and we don't have a skill that we can fall back on yet. And
well,
still, okay, everybody's going to get mad at me, but I always talk about the $400 million that the school board asks for year after year. But like you said, that's not money I don't think is well invested in our community, because once you come out, what do? You don't go to the military, and you don't go to, college.
I listen. A lot of people talk about the graduation rate, the amount of people that's going to college, but the one thing that they don't talk about is how many people stay in college the first year. I just think that people want to hide the number, and unless you're truthful about it, we won't be able to fix nothing. Um, how many people in the last 4 years graduated? We don't got to go way back. Just the last 4 years graduated, went to college, and they still in college. Did anybody ever talk to the people who went to college their first year and dropped out, to try to figure out why they dropped out, so that the next group we could try to save more of them? So that's the stuff that we don't do. That's the stuff we don't talk about. They talk numbers. The numbers look good until you break that number down. Like, give me what I just told you. Talk about that. They don't want to talk about that.
Oh my God, no.
They
I
don't want to
brought
talk
that
about
up to the Board of Ed meeting at the budget meeting, and you would have thought Dr. Eileen Tracy, you'd have thought I called her bad language, because I was like,
that.
your report shows that you guys still are not performing. The kids are not performing, up to Connecticut State, par. And she was like, we're fine. I'm like, no, we're not fine.
Listen, Yale gives money for scholarships, but somebody told me they don't give money to scholarships if kids going to black colleges.
Really?
I don't understand.
I hope that's not true. Yale.
Listen, that's what I heard. That they give like state colleges. I just feel like if you're gonna help somebody get a degree to better their life, why you making them have to stay here? Like, why can't they go get a degree at a black college? Like, what, that's what I'm saying. Sometimes help ain't help. So do that really help them? Like, so and everybody like doing studies. So out of all the students that they give money to and they go off to college, what's the numbers looking like? And I might be wrong, but I'm just saying, what's the numbers looking like?
Well, I'm going to look it up for you, because there's a state report that the all the Board of Eds, that they really hate when I bring this report up. I'm pulling it up right now. Matter of fact, I'm gonna get my glasses so I can see it really well, because I want to tell you what the percentage of people is that actually graduate. Let's tell you, and actually go to college and stay there and finish. Let's talk about that for a second, because when I bring these things up, everybody gets cranky with me. And they're like, "Oh, you're not, you don't understand." I'm like, "Okay, so make me understand."
No, what we
Okay.
need to do is we need to understand what's preventing these black kids from graduating, and try to address that. That's why
Yeah.
I'm talking about the number. I'm not talking about the number. The only reason why I'm talking about that is for that reason, because if the kid is smart enough to go to college, and if he's smart enough to finish college, but he has some issues that we need to help him with, where's the help at?
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
do
And
anybody
how do you
talk to them?
communicate it?
So
Right.
that's
That's the
that's
problem.
that's
And
that's
like, so let me give you this number. So the college entrance and persistence, the persistence of the people who stay once they actually get in. So in the Black or brown community, you have, of the class of 2018, you had 57.3% getting into college. And out of those graduated, that would be 643 were 79% were Black and African American who started, they started high school in 9th grade and finished in 12th grade, went straight through. So they're saying only 57% got into college and 74% actually graduated. So like you said, where's that other 26%? Where are they? Why did they go to college, but they didn't stay? They didn't finish.
Well, I'll tell you one thing: 74%. That's a good number. But what my concern is the ones that didn't make it, because I just feel like
the 57%.
If they was interested, out of 57%. So I would like to know, where did the other 43%? Where did they
Right,
go?
where the other
42
43%? Right.
or the 42.7? Like, what's the breakdown with them? Like, what percentage of them went to trade school? What percentage of them went to the armed forces? And then what percentage of them went to the workforce? And what I don't understand is, like, when you got these smart people who doing the graphs on everything,
And
what
studies.
they're doing is they're not giving you verified information. They just giving you pieces of it. Like, if you're gonna break something down, if you're gonna give me the ingredients to bake a cake, if you leave something out, the cake ain't gonna taste the same. So I would say, like, where's everybody else? Because if you saying 57.3 went to college, that mean that where the rest of them at? Like, they need to find out that it should be a drop net underneath to catch as many as we could catch. Not saying we're gonna catch everybody, but there should be layers of nets to catch as many of these kids as possible, to prevent them from getting caught up in the street with some stuff that wind up landing them in jail.
Right now, the Hispanic or Latino of any race, 52%, even lower, even lower. And that is up against their 75.2% graduate.
See?
So like you said, there's that gap between those percentage that graduate and don't go to college and that percent that graduates and we don't know where they are.
So my point is that out of the 52%, the number of graduation is high. What my thinking is that it could be higher if they had resources. I'm thinking that lack of resources prevented the other Blacks and Hispanics from graduating. And I just feel like, where's the conversation of talking to them, trying to figure out, like, what happened? I think we need to do a deep dive into that. Like, that information, to me, they should be concerned about that. You know what I mean? Like, the numbers sound good, but when you look at the percentage overall, the number's low. 52% out of 100. You know what I mean? And 57 out of 100. I would say if they only sending 52, you know what I mean? Let's try to get 90%. You know what I mean? 92% of them graduating. You're not getting a big number of them going, but at least the ones that go, let's push that number to encourage others to you know what I mean?
Well, I mean, and then, in this current COVID crisis age, we hear so much about so many kids disengaged. I'm like, but kids over in these public school systems have always been disengaged. There's always been that percentage, like you said, this percentage that, graduates, and then we never see them again, or we don't know where they are, and I can't understand why there aren't resources, like you said, in place to follow them and find out where they're going. Do you have a job? I mean, do you have a job lined up? Are you going to school? Are you going to the military? And I've always wondered why high schools don't have placement agencies. Like you said, wouldn't that be the coolest thing? Is like when you get to 11th and 12th grade, you could go downstairs and, your guidance counselor, and then across the hall is like a placement, like an employment agency. And they can go, okay, so if you're not going to go to college and you're not going to go here, here's a list of jobs that's available to you. We don't do that.
Well, one thing I'm gonna tell you, so when we talk about the school system, I would go to the inequity, the lack of fairness. Is it fair that some of these teachers been there so long, they're vested, you can't get rid of them, and are they really teaching our kids what need to be taught? They're being protected, and I just think that that's not good.
That's another problem.
I would say that they need to identify a way to get rid of some of the teachers, because I don't think that all the teachers there have the best interests of the student at heart, and those that don't, I think that just like with the police department union protects the officer. The same thing happened in the school system, and at the end of the day, a lot of these teachers and a lot of these cops, they don't live here. Do they feel like the same level of teaching that they're giving our kids, that where their kids go to school, they're getting the same level? I would like them to answer that question.
Yeah.
Like, are they teaching their kids how? Are they teaching our kids how their kids are being taught in their school, like the same level?
Yeah, it's not like
I would like to ask that.
I mean, again, when we talk about equity, equity starts at the school system. That's where it starts. I mean, because that's surely where the inequity begins. If you want to see it, an inequitable system that, starts to suspend little kids when they're in first grade, expelling kids, punishing, sending and handing the student support, separating, singling out, I mean, it just, the inequity begins so early. And like you said, I can't understand why they can't see it. Maybe they don't want to see it. I don't know, but it seems to start so early.
Some people take careers to take care of their family and live the life that they want to live. They don't really take the career because they care.
Right.
They care about the money.
I think they get burnt out.
Yeah. So
yeah, I think after a while they get burnt out, and it's just now.
And another thing is this: I graduated in 1984. I know how we were in high school in '84, and I see how some of the kids are the way they are now. It's a big difference. It's
a lot harder now.
It's a different the different animal right there. It's like, I know some of the kids, I don't know. I just feel like some of the parents need to get the kids to be a little more respectful. I know a lot of people don't want to hear that, but I think some of the things that they say to older people, I know that when I was younger, my mother didn't play that. I don't know how some kids get away with some of the stuff they get away with, and what happens is, as they get older, it just get worse. So I'm not gonna put all the blame on the teacher. I think that the community got to own what we got to own. So for me to sit up here and act like it's just a teacher thing. I think it's it's a 50-50 thing. But I think that we both need to try to figure out how to do a better job at getting our kids to be more respectful in school. But we also need to get these teachers to do a better job at getting our kids over the finish line and getting them to the point where they want to go to college.
Yeah, I think at
more,
this, and I don't think it's really. Do you really think that they have to? I mean, it's nice to have a Black teacher. I mean, I think it's nice, but I don't. I just think it's the culture. I mean, like it's just like you said. You could have Black politicians, and they'd still do the same things that the white politicians do. You could have Black cops, Hispanic cops. They still behave the same way. I don't think if you. I just think the culture needs to change.
I think depending on the class, because I know, like when I went to Hill House, Mr. Bowie, he was the music teacher there, but he was more like a father figure to a lot of Black men, and he was a father figure to a lot of women. I remember I had a Spanish teacher. Her name was Mrs. Williams. She was a good teacher. So I think that as you grow up, I think in high school, I don't know about in middle school, like would it be a greater impact? But I think in high school, having Black teachers, I would think would be a little more beneficial than if you were younger. Because I just think when you're in high school, you're growing up, you're a young lady turning into a woman, you're a young man turning into a man. I think that what I appreciated was the conversations that I had with Mr. Bowie. He was like a father figure, so that helped me a lot. So I would say in high school, we need to figure out how to get more Black men and women in there. But listen to this, that care about Black men and women, especially at the age they are, to help them get to the next level. Because sometimes, you could put somebody Black in there and it don't necessarily has the impact that you thought it was going to have. So
I know.
And sometimes
and then we're back to square one again.
Yeah. I had white teachers that was great. I mean, they care. So I'm not gonna sit here and say that white teachers don't teach and white teachers don't care. I just feel like you need to mix it up a little bit, because sometimes a Black kid going through something that a Black man might understand a little better than a white man, and a Black woman might understand a little bit better than a white woman. I think it got to be a balancing act, and I don't think it's really a balancing act in the New Haven public system right now.
No, not equitable. So okay, it's 9:13, and I know I only was going to keep you for an hour, but do you want to have any final words for your definition of equity tonight?
Listen, my final words, I would just want the people in New Haven to decide what equity is for them, and figure out how to get the people in your ward to come out and vote, because we definitely need change, and if we don't vote, we ain't gonna get change. And I'm hoping that that's what they do.
Yeah. Get everybody engaged in this process. The younger, the better. The earlier, the better. And after you vote, it's not over then. And I know everybody's like, "Oh, I voted. Okay, good." No, then you have to get into the accountability phase of the process. So it's not over when you go to the polls. That's just the beginning. It doesn't end there.
If the people in your vote in your ward come to you to get you to elect somebody, we can hold them accountable because they're right in our ward.
Mm-hmm. Ward 21.
Yeah, Ward
Well,
21.
thank you, Ward 21. I spoke to Stephen Winter. He came and visited with me some weeks ago. That was interesting, right? Like, I was like, this is so cool. He was, I'm in Hampden. He's, 21 Ward. And so we were able to talk. So, I mean, I think he's approachable. Whereas there's various others. I mean, it's so funny. I could have Steve and Winter come and talk to me, but I can only get Brad McDowell and Justin Farmer to come and talk to me. Nobody else will talk. Just incredible, right? Just totally incredible. So, well, thank you so much for your time tonight. And I really appreciate this discussion. I think we should continue to have more of these talks about, what is the pipeline for equity?
I would tell you that I'm hoping that other people come on your show and give their definition themselves. Because like I said,
yes.
Where I'm at, this is just how I feel. I'm not saying that everybody in New Haven feel how I feel, because everybody in New Haven ain't on the same part of the mountain I'm on. But I'm hoping that other people at least speak their truth. You know what I mean? Because it's not like you're lying. What you see is what you see, and that's your truth. And speak it, so at least we know what else is going on the mountain.
Yes,
I think that's how you make. That's how you show me something better. Give me something to reach for. You know what I mean? Some goals. Tell us what it's really like where you at.
Right. Show me. I would like to see. Well, thank you so much again. Awesome chat tonight. It's 9:17 and we will be talking more. Hopefully you can come. Why don't you come back again next month and let's talk and let's see where we are. And hopefully the candidates will be rolling out their platforms. I want to talk about their platforms. I'm curious.
Okay.
All right. Nice. I will definitely.
Right.
I will send you an invite and let's talk some more. I think we should talk more all the way up until November. Mm-hmm.
That's a good point.
Yes. I don't think the talking should stop. We should continue to talk about what is equity in our community all the way up until the election day.
Okay.
Now let's see what happens.
All right.
All right. Well, you have a great evening and thank you again.
You too.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
Have a good night.